Boards and booze, booze and boards, drinks and beers, fight some hordes. Drank too much, forgot our swords, ran back home, filled our gourds, got drunk again, sang some chords. Boards and booze and boards, with Mickey and Jeb.
Alright, so it's been a year since we were at, what's the name of it? PAX Unplugged. And where were we last weekend, Mickey?
PAX Unplugged.
Hey,
Part 2.
Yeah, yeah, so it was actually the second year PAX Unplugged exists. So we went back.
And plus Steak and Cheese Lady said that she heard that it was going to stay.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's right, because she was talking about the other cons in the area. So, yep.
So stay tuned for part 3 in 360 days or something like that.
When we'll have even more games on the table.
All right, so yeah, so if you couldn't have guessed, this is our PAX review / what did Mickey spend money on.
Hey.
And Jeb did a lot better this year.
Yeah.
He didn't buy a game that oh, I bought a pack of Star Wars Destiny.
Hey,
well, it was random.
In my defense, Mickey was saying, when are you going to buy Star Wars Destiny?
Well, it's true, but he could have just gone to a regular game store and bought it there. But I will defend him because he can't defend himself in terms of every single game that he wanted to see either wasn't there or it looked so awful that we just didn't play it.
Yeah. When you look at the components and it's like, is that a pre-production copy?
And no, they're like, that's full production. And Jeb's like, thank you very much. I'll move along. You don't even need to show me how to play it.
Yep.
So, anyways, so
last year we did a video on everything we bought and we talked about our experience. So we're doing it again.
Yep.
So
actually, I guess we did show the stuff real quick, and we tried to remember some of the stuff we talked to that's coming out. I will say that this year I don't feel like we saw as many things. There's one in particular that we're both really excited for. I don't remember the name of it. We'll talk about it in a little bit.
I don't even remember what you're talking about, so I'll find out too.
He doesn't remember anything until I start talking about it. Yeah. But anyways, since Jeb's pile's smaller than mine, I'll go first.
All right.
It is.
Or we could do one at a time until.
But I get to go first.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
All right. So my first one, you guys are gonna love it. Woo! You can't even see it. It's Sugar Ponies. Little card game by Cerifiable Studios. They're the ones that did the Orphans of
Condolee Cove.
Yeah, right. That we did a review on that Jeb and I really like. They are really starting to ramp up production, and this one I didn't remember. It must have been something that they did on the side. So I picked it up. I read the back real quick, and I thought, oh, sounds like a fun little filler game. Jeb and I did sit down and play it, and I thought it was entertaining. I think he did too after the first few plays. He looked like he wanted to slap me at the beginning of the game. Honestly, he's like Mickey. He's like Mickey. What are you making me play here?
Right.
And then once we got down all the the cards that make this a little interesting compared to every other similar card game, it was pretty fun. But again, being that it was, if you remember Cerifiable Studios, and you've heard me flap about what kind of artwork I like, all you have to do is look at the ponies, and it was in the bag. Yep. Plus, it was cheap.
And that's the only certifiable thing? I guess
that's the only certifiable, but we got to see...
Yeah, I was going to say we might as well tell
We got to see D6, which is a previous Kickstarter that they did set up. It looked amazing. Looks amazing. And
Mickey backed it. I did not.
Yeah, it looked like it was just set up to look at, but later on I think it was the last day, we actually saw people that were sitting down and playing. So I don't know if it was people that already knew the game or if they were getting instruction by somebody or what. They kind of looked like they had an idea of what it was going on. And it's like a questing type of game, but with the certifiable twist to it. Also, since we're already talking about Cerifiable, one that Jeb and I both backed, but we haven't got to the table yet.
And we intend to do an episode.
Intend to do an episode on it, but they had it set up while we were there, is that we got to play a few rounds of Who Goes There, which is over there, but you can't see it.
I'm not going over there.
I know you're not going over there. I'm just pointing to something they can't see. So, anyways, after sitting down and playing it, we were even more excited. Jeb had I hadn't read the rules yet. Jeb had read the rules and said there were some confusing parts, which was one of our complaints about Orphans. We sat down and played it, and that pretty much wiped out.
The guy teaching it was really good with...
He was one of the the artist / he knew the game.
Yeah.
And so we have a real good idea of how to play that now. We do need to get at least 3 people so we can show you.
Yes.
And
because it's 3 to 6,
something
like that.
It is beautiful on the table too. So that'll be coming up. And then there was 2 other that they had banners of, and I can't remember the names right now, unfortunately. So why am I even talking about it? Just because they look cool.
One of them, I was like, oh, that guy looks really cool. And then I noticed he had a card in D6. Like, there was a card of him. So I guess they some kind of crossover or something thing that they do. So
anyways, like I said, they
they
seem to be starting to ramp up.
The guy was like, yeah, they're like our pet projects or something like that. So he was excited about it.
Yep. So that's very cool in terms of certifiable stuff coming, and like we just said, I think both of us were even more excited to get who goes there to the table once we actually played it, especially since Jeb got infected.
That was awful. It was the top card too. You'll understand it, but when we do the video, but it was just, and even afterwards when we finished, the guy was like, yeah, every time I set it up, I make the 3rd card the infected just for teaching purposes. And he was like, I don't know why it was the first one.
Because it was for Jeb.
Yeah.
Okay, your turn. What'd you pick up, Jeb?
Alright, so this one, Shards of Infinity. I actually had made a list going into the convention of things I wanted to look for and buy, so I was more prepared than last year. And Shards of Infinity was actually on that list, so when I saw it for sale, I was like, okay, I'll buy that one. So I grabbed it off the shelf. I think you liked the way the box looked. And then I went to check out, and the guy was like, you picking up the expansion? And I was like, no, I was just going to get the core and see how it plays. And the guy goes, well, the expansion, everybody I've sold it to says it's awesome or something
like that.
And he's like...
then Jeb goes, is it selling quickly?
The guy was like, it was released that day that I was buying it, and he was like, yeah, they're going pretty fast.
Yeah, so guess who bought it? And actually, when we walked by again, it was gone.
Yes.
So they weren't really feeding him a line.
Yeah.
But we actually got to sit down and play that real quick too. So hopefully you guys will get to see that one. I liked it. Jeb is stuck on the fact that it plays like Star Realms.
Yeah, it's pretty much Star Realms just with a different kind of skin, and there's a few tweaks to it that there's, I guess you collect shards, and then some cards depend on how many shards you have for them to do more power and stuff like that. So that concept's pretty cool. Everybody has like a hero, but
the hero's just your tracker. So it's the tracker is a little bit nicer than having to do the math with Star Realms, but it is really heavy on the comparison. Right. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
but we didn't do this yet to see what they did.
Yeah.
And honestly, in terms of deck builders, it is one of our favorites. So you know what? If somebody did something right and you can incorporate a couple new things into it, there's enough. Like in this one, it kind of does matter the way you play your cards.
Yes.
The shard thing, that we're not going to get totally into it, but the shard thing that Jeb made, that can be a bigger win condition, and there is, I don't know how to describe it, there's almost like a leveling up aspect because of the shards.
Oh yeah, because of the shards.
So there's like little things like that, but and they kind of mushed Hero Realms and Star Realms.
Yeah.
Some of the lot of the mechanics into it.
And the expansion throws in some extra cards, and I think it adds relics, which are are probably set off to the side and do stuff. So
Right.
I don't know what the plans are in the future for it, but it was still a fun game to play.
It was solid.
So,
it was solid.
Yep. I guess we're done talking about that one.
Unless you have something else to say.
Nope.
Well, you didn't say who did it.
Oh, it was
50-something
UltraPro was
50.
Stoneblade.
Oh, that's...
Yes.
Oh, Stoneblade, the S and a B. It looks like a 5 and a 6.
Oh yeah, Stoneblade Entertainment, and I guess UltraPro's the what is it, publisher?
I guess.
Is that what it is?
A big UltraPro right on the side, I
Yeah.
suppose. Okay. So, well, let's start with this. I will go both of these in same place. All right. You are the Maniac. Okay. This one. So the background with this is by Counterculture Cards. You are the Maniac. So, how did Mickey end up with this one? Because Jeb we were trying to hunt down this booth, which I think we had already walked by twice.
Yes, we had.
And one of the problems was, well, it's why we were trying to hunt down this booth, not for this game, because there was a Kickstarter that Jeb backed, and they were giving a little something. I'll let Jeb tell you what the something he got was.
Yeah, they sent an email out. They were like, go to this booth. We're going to have the...
A token of appreciation for you.
Token of appreciation, and we'll have the Kickstarter game set up, and you can see it.
Right.
So that's one thing I was looking for. It wasn't at the booth. They had it at a different place.
But they brought it back to the booth. They actually
did they?
Yeah, because the guy was like, do you want us to go get it? And then when we were playing, and then they were like, no, just leave it over there so they have something to show. And that was part of the problem, because they didn't have a sign for the game, and they didn't have it set up, so that's kind of why we flew back by a couple of times, and then when we actually looked up the actual booth number, that's when we found them, and actually we noticed that the guy had the name of the Jeb's Kickstarted game on his t-shirt, so there wasn't any big display of it, but we'll get to that game in a minute. So,
and if you're wondering, the token of appreciation was a button.
This big.
Yeah, it had
not
a picture
that it's
of
not nice to get something. Right. It was like I don't know. I think Jeb was.
I thought it was gonna be like cards for the game or something
like a special oh, here's this that nobody else is getting or something like that, a one of. But whatever, he got a pin. Did it right? So, but while we were there, this was laying out. And you probably can't get the feel for it too much, but this is the exact size of the old VHS cases, and they've got the artwork all worn out and everything, but basically it's a make fun of card game of the old slasher type movies, like your Friday the 13th and Halloween and all that. It's kind of poking fun at it, and in this game you take the role of being the killer, and you're trying to collect the most victims through 3 acts. So they do movie 1, movie 2, movie 3, just like, our good old, get to see Freddy Krueger 3 times. And then then we get to see him 3 more times. Right. And then they have stuff like the main girl comes out at the end of each thing, tries to get away. And then there's bimbos,
and there's all the stereotypical
and then there's the athlete, and there's the fodder, and it's just, and then the artwork is just that like that classic horror type of style. But we probably will do. This is a pretty quick game, so we probably will do a review on this. Another one that we played.
I just want to say before you get into the gameplay, when we walked to the booth and saw it, we were both cracking up when we saw the cards.
Yeah.
Like that,
it was awesome.
It was just like, that doesn't happen too often, that you just see cards and you're like dying laughing.
And that's one of the reasons why it made the grade, at least in terms of me picking up. I mean, I did get the guy to describe the game to me, and I was like, there was nothing special when he. Oh, I shouldn't say that. It sounds awful. It's not a groundbreaking game. It's a fun, humorous filler. It's bring it out at Halloween, whatever, that type of thing. So it was, and Jeb and I sat down and played it. Couple rules issues, which I believe they've already addressed, because if you go look online, it's actually different than what's in this. So we actually went back and we had, I think we had, by the time we were done, we still had a handful of questions. We asked them, we actually ended up playing it right anyways, so just goes to show that it was, like, if you have any gaming experience, even though you can't answer the question, if you do what makes sense, you probably got it right. So we'll try to get to this one, but I thought it was kind of fun. Then the other thing that I saw at the booth, which I haven't even opened yet, was Strawberry Ninja. Yes, Strawberry Ninja. So, anyways, I haven't opened it yet. It was made to be a solo game, but you can play it up with a group. It's just people take turns doing this stuff. But I don't have very many, like, in my mind, like a solo game like this is in some ways more appealing. Like, I'd rather wait for Jeb to come over than, like, set up a great big board. Jeb's the opposite. He doesn't mind doing the other way. That's why a lot of times he looks for, like, he's very interested when a bigger scope board game says it has solo play. But this is basically just cards and has a mechanic where you're trying to hunt down the strawberry, and you have to go through mechanics to do that. So I was like, it wasn't very much, and so I was like, I want to try that after he explained it to me. So I picked that up too. This actually doesn't say Counterculture cards on it. It says Strawberry Studios, so even though it was at the same booth, maybe they were sharing it. Maybe
the booth, I think the booth was like Golden Bell Games or something, so it might be like just a store or something.
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
Golden Bell Games, right there.
Is it on the VHS or not?
I don't know, but this says it was established in 2015.
Oh.
So anyways, that's the reason I bought that.
And then also we got to sit down and play the Kickstarter game that had led us to that booth in the first place. And that game the name of it's Unbroken, and it's a solo game. But when we sat down and they were showing us, like, I played through it and Mickey was watching and hoping I would lose. And then at some point he was like, since you're winning, Jeb, I'm taking over as monsters to make you lose. And he didn't. I won. But the creator of it was actually sitting there. He was teaching us how to play, and that game was really fun.
Yep, I will blow my review unless they change the game right now.
Yeah.
That I can't. I went home and found it on BackerKit so I could get a copy.
Yep.
It is that good. So if you see, keep that in the back of your mind. Unbroken. It is 100% solo at the moment, though.
Yeah, they said there was.
He did say that, like, when they do expansions, they're thinking about how to do it co-op and maybe I don't know if they were gonna go versus too or whatever, but they were thinking to the future of it. When you see the game, it was in my opinion, a really well thought out solo dungeon explore game. I mean, it was just fun. And easy.
We're going to try to get that as soon as it comes in the mail. So.
Yep.
Is it me next?
I don't know, unless you want me to do another one over here.
I'll go next.
All right.
I'll do this one. Mountains of Madness. This was actually one that I was debating on for a while now. I think I had looked it up and I was like, oh, this might not be that good to get, so I never bought it. But then I went by the Iello booth, and the guy there who was explaining, like, I saw the banner of it, and I was like, do you guys have this to play or demo? And he was like, no, we don't have any set up, but I can tell you about it. And then him and one of the other guys at the booth, I guess they're gaming buddies or whatever.
Yeah, because this has been out for a little bit.
Yeah.
This isn't a brand new game, but I do remember Jeb, at some time in the past, had been eyeballing it. Like, I want to know how this works. So he did get to talk to somebody that knew what was going on, and evidently they did a good enough job to put it in his bag.
When they were talking about it, I was like, this sounds really fun. And it's one of those games, though, that you have to get people who will play along with it. Because, like, if you've ever played Gloom, if you get people who don't want to storytell, then you're not going to enjoy it that much.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good example.
We sat by a couple trying to learn how to play Gloom, and they were literally, well, one of them looked bored off their gourd, and the girl looked like she was just happy to be playing, But they were playing Gloom all wrong. If you've played Gloom before, it
played
literally
Gloom without the story, and that's what they were doing.
Yeah, it was like, I'm gonna play a card, I'm gonna play a card, I'm gonna play a card. Nobody made anything up at all, and not that Gloom doesn't have fantastic. Like, I think they were one of the first, if not the first, translucent card game. Like, so the mechanics and, you know, that is really cool, but that's not the game.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right.
The game is the wonderful stuff that they put on the cards to get you to participate in making something funny up, and it is, if you play it like that. And I usually hate that kind of stuff, and that's, I thought I've had a blast playing that before. But anyways.
Yeah, so this game, the way that comes into play is it's a Lovecraftian game based off of the story At the Mountains of Madness. And it's a co-op game where all the players are working together to get treasures and leave the mountain. So you're making your way through the mountain, whatever temples, if you read the story. All of that stuff is happening. However, as you're playing the game, you can acquire these madness cards that force you to do stuff that affects what you can say or do during the talking phase.
Oh, okay. And gotcha.
And what it says is, it's really cool because out of all the phases, there's one phase where you can actually discuss with everyone, and all the madness cards can they only affect that one phase. So once you're out of that phase, you're supposed to pretend like nothing, like you weren't doing anything different.
Okay.
So it sounds really cool if you can get people to play along with it.
That sounds like one you actually get Nina to play, because she likes silly things.
All right. So that...
And we have to get up to 3 in this game.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But we'll make it happen.
Yeah, so that's why I bought this, and the box just looks fantastic. You're up next.
Oh, and one other thing, since Jeb said that was like a Lovecraftian thing, it wasn't made by Fantasy Flight, so you might actually have a chance to win. But if they keep it Lovecraftian, you have no chance to win.
I was reading the rules, and you're supposed to like get off the mountain with more treasure than madness cards or something like that. So I'm like, I don't know how easy it's going to be.
Alright, so I will do this one next. This is called CrossTalk, Impulse Buy.
Oh, I remember where you bought that one now. I was trying to think.
We haven't gotten to it yet, but this was a purchase because of another game. Because when I went to purchase said game, which we'll get to in just a few minutes, this was here. I said, what is that? He explained it to me. And in a lot of ways, it is like code names on a little bit of steroids. I can't remember everything he said, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. I haven't even cranked it open yet, but it sounded enough different and that type of thing where I think these are like solid games to have around when you like have, you know, hey, I have people over, I don't know if they like the game or, you know, but I don't want to sit in front of the TV tonight. Let's ask everybody if they'll play a game. Sounded like one you can take out. It should be fairly easy to explain, and hopefully everybody has a good time. It's not a do stupid thing game, which is usually way down on my list. Not a super happy salmon fan, but I will play if I have to. And I can't say that I don't laugh. It's just I don't buy them. That is not my idea of a board game, as silly as they are. So anyways, that's the type of game that this is. Again, I can't remember exactly everything that that he told me about, but you're basically trying to, if you can't really see here, but like there's a dry erase pen and stuff, so you're trying to write down certain words from the clues and things like that. So again, it's called CrossTalk. Brett Sobel and Seth Van Orden, and it's by Nauvoo Games, if I'm saying that right. Is that how you say that? Nauvoo Games?
Yeah, I guess.
And 4 to 8 plus, so I guess you can go over 8. ages 10 and up, and it's only 30 minutes. So
the thing about that one, like, I guess since sometimes you do get people to come over who aren't into board games like that, but they'll play stuff like Codenames, and if that happens a lot, and then maybe they want to like branch it, like do something more advanced than Codenames, then that would be something that you could be like, hey, you played Codenames like a few times now, you want to try this game?
Right. Yeah, like I had my friends just visited, and when I had just visited them, and then they were down visiting me, and while I was at their place, I showed them the game, which we haven't done yet, but it's a very simple card game with some really cool mechanics, but it's super easy to teach. They had a blast with that. So they came down here, and I was like, okay, let's step it up just a little bit. So I broke out Splendor, and they loved it, and actually, they were my toughest first competition I've ever had in that game.
Wow.
But I still pulled it out in the end, Jeb. I have one loss in that game.
To who?
Donna. But I told her what to do on a previous move. If I wouldn't have been the nice guy, pretty sure Donna wouldn't have won.
Yep.
But I'm a nice guy, Jeb. Not to you, but I'm a nice guy.
I was going to say, you're a nice guy who's lost it once.
Okay. Alright, so you want me to go again since you only got one left?
Sure.
Alright. Ooh, which one should I do?
How about the one on top?
The shorter one on top or the longer one on top?
The shorter one.
Alright.
Because that one we actually played.
Yes, we did. Well, we played a couple rounds of that.
Well, I mean, after you bought it.
Actually, we played everything on there. Okay.
After you bought it.
Oh, after we played it. Alright. This one, super excited about this one too. Can't wait to play again. This is called Wakening Lair.
Not Dungeon Lair, which I called it for like 3 days.
It makes up a different name every time he talks about it, because all he can remember is the layer part. But that's okay, because it's Jeb. This is
Rather Dashing
Games. 14 and up, 30 to 40 minutes, 2 to 6 players. This is a dungeon exploration game. You have all with cards, dice, all with cards and dice, nothing else. Well, some markers. But you lay out the dungeon, you have to explore the dungeon, you have to beat the main boss. Sounds kind of straightforward and stuff like that. They did a fantastic job in it. There's the dungeon is random every time. The amount of monsters that get spawned, even though it's always either 1 or 2, which they could change with the other cards if they wanted to. So you don't know what that's going to be there. And then
my favorite part
there's
is the boss.
And there's like 6 different bosses in this spot. 6 different bosses. And the way they did the bosses have quadrants. Like if you've played any video games, you know how like you get to that final boss and you have to beat up his head first, then you have to beat up his arm, and then you have to beat up his leg. It's like that. They put quadrants on the boss that you have to beat. The minions in this game are also very unique too, because it's all dice rolling for the hits, but they have different target numbers across the top, and you have to hit those target numbers, but you have to do it in order. So if you have a boss roll on roll number 1, if you don't wipe out the whole thing, you might not get another good roll, and you're not allowed to break that up. Yeah. Well, one of the characters can, but anyways, the point is, it was we sat down and played it.
We played the demo, and then
we
finished the demo?
No.
We only did a couple turns, right?
No, we had people sitting in front of us that decided to complete the whole demo while we're sitting there waiting for an explanation.
I think we waited
honestly,
like half an hour.
I felt I actually turned to Jeb. Jeb, I hope you don't mind that we're waiting for this, because I really want to see it. It looks like really like something I would like. And he was like, no, that's cool. To each his own. When I'm at a booth and it's literally like it's the demo table, like they don't have it set. I mean, they can, but it's kind of like to show you the game.
Yeah.
I want to take 4 or 5 turns get as much as the mechanics in. I should have enough of the game that I don't know it. And that's exactly what we did when we sat there. We went through, I don't know, probably 3 rooms. We both asked about some of the end game stuff. I said, ring me up. We had to wait a half an hour because somebody else was standing there halfway through a game and they decided to finish the whole thing. Yeah, it was a little irritating to me. Should I be irritated? Probably not. I mean, they paid ticket same as I did, but that's just me. Kind of bugged me a little bit.
Just one of those, like, kind of, you be aware of your surroundings, kind of, like, common courtesy type of things, in my opinion.
I mean, I get it. I mean, I get that they're, right. I mean, they certainly entitled to do that, but yeah, I'm like, even from the booth perspective, I'm like, they probably want to try to show as many people as they can. And it's hard for somebody else, like, I probably got a half to 3/4 of what was going on by watching, but I still needed to stay there to get the whole thing. I just didn't, I mean, I couldn't pick, because I'm standing behind somebody, and if you've been at a convention, there's all kinds of stuff going on. It's just...
I don't hear half of the stuff people say.
Yeah, and I don't think Jeb heard any of it.
No.
And so, but anyways, I think he was glad that we stayed and bought it too. He had a lot of fun with it also.
Yeah, every boss is completely unique.
And in terms of this type of co-op game, we lost with 1 space left. Literally 1 space left. That's the best kind of co-op game when you are this close, because then you're just like, bring it on again. Yep. So, and we played a couple things wrong after I read the rules that night. That's it didn't break the game, but it was like, oh, that made it even a little bit tougher. So,
and the best part is the playtime, because most co-op games are kind of long, and you're like, once you get that far and then you lose, you're like, I don't feel like starting from the beginning.
Yep.
This one was quick enough where it's like, I would have played it again if you wanted to sit there. So.
Yep. So this one will be coming definitely soon. Rather Dashing Games. I can't remember what other stuff they had at their booth, but they said they're going to be doing more for this, and I can't wait. This is.
They said at least a couple more bosses.
I'm actually wondering if I can't get Nina to play this one too, because it's really not hard. She rolls her eyes at me, but sometimes she'll play with me. So.
Speaking of the CrossTalk being kind of the advanced version of Codenames, Wakening Lair is kind of an advanced version of Mysterious Forest.
Yes, in a lot of ways it is. I mean, Mysterious Forest, as much as I liked that, it really is below my level. If I had grandkids or something, I'd keep it, but I'm planning on giving it to my nephews. I think they're at the a good age to play it now, and then they can pass it along to somebody or whatever. But it's a beautiful game. It's just like I'm not gonna bring that out with anybody. I mean, I'd have to change the rules so much to make that thing hard. I mean, you could do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't. I mean, like if you were like wild cards, you can't have them. I think that game would be tough.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
But I feel like if you had Mysterious Forest and Wakening Lair and you asked me to choose, I'd pick Wakening Lair. Because that's my level.
I don't think I would give you that choice, because I would be like, we're just playing Wakening Lair, Jeff. Even though, like I said, I got a positive review from me just for a younger audience, that's all.
Yeah. Alright, so this is the last game that I bought. And
this was a fight to get to see who gets to buy it.
Yeah. Because Hand of Fate, last year, if you watched our video, you heard the story, but quick recap, first time at PAX, we're walking around, we see this game, it looks wonderful, and guess what? Completely filled up slots on...
You had to sign, and it wasn't even like you could sign up in it. Well, you could kind of. The guy was like, you have to be here at 10 o'clock, and I'm going to fill all my slots. And we were like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, so...
We did walk by to see, but...
Right.
We were
there
told
was no chance we could actually play this. So we were kind of like, well, I guess we'll look into it or whatever.
We'll just wait.
A year passes. I hadn't even I didn't think about this game again since. I was like, yeah, no reason to hunt it.
Well, there was no hype.
Right. I didn't hear anything about it.
And I mean, maybe there was, and then I mentioned something to Jeb. I was like, Jeb, did you know that game that we wanted to play last year is out? And in typical Jeb fashion, he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, Mickey.
I was like, what game?
You remember the game? You know, after about 14 examples of the game, Jeb goes, oh! Then he got excited.
Almost every conversation.
So and then honestly, then he got excited about it. He goes to BGG to look it up and see what everything. All of a sudden, he's like, Mickey, this is getting really good comments.
Yeah.
And it's, as far as I know, it did fly under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's based on a video game. And Video Game Boy here hasn't heard of the video game, which is very surprising. Because he's a bigger video game person than I am, even though I kind of stay on top of that stuff. And unfortunately, this year, no demo.
Yeah, no demo.
No demo. They had
that?
all these things they had like Reef out there.
However, we walked by a booth and somebody had set it up. There was just no demo.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what, like, the whoever.
Yeah, not the
game.
publisher, just.
No, it was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was. They just had other stuff going on.
Okay.
One of the things that caught, I think it was, maybe I'm wrong, but one of the things that caught our attention about this is it was sitting with, did they help publish it or not? Anyways, last year it was sitting in the same booth as the people that did Citadel of Time, and that's one of the reasons that was one of the reasons why we were like, what is that? Because both of us, like, that game's way up on our list of fun games. Mm-hmm. Have no idea what kind of connection there is between that. Anyways, we see the table set up. Jeb, you know, we see a guy, he's showing somebody something else. He says, give me 10 minutes. And then we went over and he just told us all the stuff the game can do. And we walked out of the booth, looked at each other and says, who's buying it? And then I gave in because it's Japanese stuff.
I was like, I can't remember how I won, but I did. So actually, the guy had told Mickey that if you purchase the game at the convention and bring it back over to him, he would give the Kickstarter exclusive.
He still had some left.
Yeah, so I went, bought it, brought it back, got the exclusives.
Yeah.
So it's like a deck building kind of dungeon crawly thing.
It's like he described it as kind of like a deck builder, RPG, cooperative.
Yeah.
You can play it.
You can do a competitive, cooperative
and
campaign.
Solo too.
I think it's solo.
It's got, and then the way that he was like, you build your guy with all his stuff and and it's got a marketplace just like any other deck builder. And
when you go to certain places, you can only buy certain what's
things.
Available.
Right. It's kind of
cool.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm in. It's kind of like if you've ever played, if you've played Mage Knight, you know that some of the stuff in the market you can only get at like a town, or you can only get it at the Wizard Tower. They were doing some of that type of thing with the cards in this. It was just everything, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful too. So, like I said, it was. Had I made a purchase yet? Anyways, the point was, I let him buy it.
I think you bought Wakening Lair before it.
Oh, okay.
But,
so,
yeah, when we got back from the con, I opened it up, grabbed the rules. The next day I had it read, and I was like, Mickey, we got to get a video of this.
Yep.
So
coming
yes.
soon, whatever that means for us, because we have best laid plans.
We should have it done before next PAX.
Oh, that's a guarantee. I will personally guarantee that.
Ooh, the Mickey guarantee.
Yep. Wow, guarantee. Alright, so Jeb has no more games.
Nope.
Mickey has 2. Alright, this is going to be tough to see the name on that because it kind of blends in. So.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I didn't lie.
No, I was just trying to remember. I was like, where was the name? It's like in the sky up here.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Dragoon. This one caught both our eyes. I actually didn't realize that it caught Jeb's eye when we were walking, and I was like...
dragons.
Well, I mean,
I like
I said I wanted... He didn't really respond the first time when I said it was one that I wanted to...
I do remember you saying that. It's because I couldn't hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, and so I figured, like, oh, he's just going to stop to humor me, which he does. He's nice to me sometimes. And I don't... It's hard to say what actually pulled me towards it, so to speak. I just think it looks a little bit different. You have a cloth board.
Yep.
The components looked very nice, and I don't know. There was just something that said, go try that game to me. So we went, we played a few rounds with 2 other people, so we were experiencing a 4-player game. The lady teaching it was very good. She explained it enough that, you know, after the 3 turns or whatever we have, I was like, that's solid. And it didn't seem that complicated too, although you can make it a little more complicated with the expansions. It sounds like it starts adding a little bit of layer of complexity, and what's interesting about the expansions is that you get 2 new dragons that do different things than the normal dragons that come in the 4-player game. Me being my typical self, I got the... I got the Kickstarter stuff or whatever they were selling there, right? And then, because it's me, and they were like, oh, you can get, it's the wrong one. Why is that? What? Oh, that's the wrong side, Jeb. That's not a very, cut that out.
Nope, leaving it in.
Oh, so mean to me. Anyway, so, like, this is a board. See, cloth, which is really cool. This is a bag to carry the whole game in, so you don't even have to bring this big box with you.
Mm-hmm.
This is a promo card I got. This is the cards. This is the tiles. I'm kind of doing a mini review for you here. Anyways, yeah, what I wanted to show you is that I got, when I upgraded this thing to the, I guess their high level, all the tokens are solid metal, and it's really neat looking. But the game is relatively simple, and I'll call it a kind of a normal game. You're just trying to get victory points. But the dragons do so many different things, and there's so many different ways to get those victory points. So the way that the person teaching us described it, it was like, dragons like shiny things, or like gold or whatever, and how can they get gold? And so, they either destroy villages or claim villages, or it's a lot, or steal from other dragons. They do a lot of dragony stuff. Without an in-depth review, I'll just say that we very much liked it. So
when she was teaching us to play, where I was standing to the left of me was another table that had something that looked really cool on the table, and I was like, oh, we should check that out after. And I looked over a little closer and noticed it was Dragoon, but somebody had did a custom board.
Oh, I know.
And it looked
that
beautiful.
Was fantastic.
And I asked her, like, is that for sale? And she's like, no, that's custom made.
Yeah. But Jeb can custom make stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, speaking of the boards and stuff, when I pulled out the cloth stuff, that was actually one of the things that did it.
Yeah,
because I'm like, if I can throw a game in a bag and I'm going somewhere where there's even the slight chance that I might be able to play something,
right,
or even for, like, packing in a suitcase, mm-hmm, or stuff like that, I mean, crumpling up a bag, and since, like, there's a deck of cards, it's got a tuck box, and everything else is basically hard components, so you'd be good to go. Anyways, another one that, like, our list just grew, like, substantially. This is another one we want to get to you guys quick if we can, because it was, we played I think both Jeb and I felt like we did less, but like, in some ways, the gaming part of it was a better experience. Yeah. So it was like, I think we took more time to actually sit down and play some stuff that we were interested in. Yep. And I don't know, it I don't know. Well, I guess we'll talk about that more at the end. But anyways, this is Dragoon.
I was going to say one caveat with Booze and Boards is that if we buy the game, we probably like it, and we're probably going to do an episode.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're not... I mean, unless people send us stuff to review, you know, out of the blue, I mean, we're like you guys. We're not going to buy something that we don't think... I mean, there's been a couple things that I've took blind shots at just because me being an art whore like I am. And I've gotten burned on, but I wouldn't say terribly burned, just stuff that is it. And this is...
the CrossTalk people.
This is, the CrossTalk. So this is the last but not least, this is the Reckoners. So, this was a stumble upon, too. I
never heard of it before.
I barely remember seeing this on Kickstarter, but evidently it didn't catch my attention enough, or I was strapped out and was like, I gotta cool down for a little bit. One or the other. We got lucky, or this wouldn't be sitting here, because when we were walking by, a group was just getting done playing, and they had good representatives there. They were probably the designers or something, but some booths, it's just a whole other story. But it's like, do you even want to sell a game? Anyhow, they were like, boom, you guys want to sit down and play? We looked at each other and went, that's what we're here for.
Yep.
Well, we didn't say that, but that's what went through our head. So we sat down and we got going.
They actually they pulled 2 other people in as well, which surprised me.
Yeah, we sat down and they had a full table as soon as we started playing. And I don't know, within a few turns, it was kind of like, oh wow, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a co-op. The twist to this is you're a regular person, and all the super-powered people in the city or the world or whatever, they've all turned bad.
Yep.
And so as citizens, so to speak, you have to stop them and the big, I forget his name. Does it say what his name is? I thought there were
multiple, or is it just
No, there's only one.
Oh, Steelheart.
I mean,
he's
they
the
probably
epic guy.
Yeah, he's the epic guy, so you're trying to take care of Steelheart. And there is a ton of stuff to manage while you're going in this game. And you see it almost immediately how tough this can get. Fast forward real quick, we did end up winning, but we're all proud of ourselves. At the end of the game, he goes, you guys played this on the easiest level. And we were like, oh. Because stuff starts flying at you, like, instantly. Like, all the stuff that you need to take care of or you're going to be in trouble. Kind of reminded me a little bit on how out of control Spirit Island can get at sometimes.
Yep.
Like, just,
if
oh my gosh.
If you forget about something or don't want to manage it, then you're in trouble.
I don't have it open yet, so I won't go through all the components, but it's kind of neat because the city is made up of, like, plastic trays, I guess is the best way to say it.
6 plastic trays, something like that.
And you have your own personal plastic tray, so everything, it fits nicely.
Yep.
And other thing that's nice about the plastic trays is that basically you can make the board however you want. The only thing I'll have to say about if you make the board however you want, so to speak, is that you are going to go around it in, like, type of a circle, so you need to know...
There's an order.
Right, you need to put it in such a way that you will know where your start and stop.
Like, if you put it in a straight line, just know that you're going top to
right,
bottom
and then it snakes back around,
yeah.
exactly. But my point to that is that it doesn't limit you to what kind of table space. You should be able to make almost anything work. I mean, maybe not card table, but... you know, a round table, a smaller regular table, you don't have to worry about folding out a board.
Right.
So that was neat. It's dice driven. You've got
They're probably like, why do you guys like dice games so much? You suck at rolling.
Yeah, but like with stuff like this, they let you manipulate, and you can use them for different things, and you're not always trying to get.
It's not always a 1 to 6.
Yeah, it's always 1 to 6. This is a 1 to 6. Probably why we lost. Yeah. But anyways,
this is okay. Every side of the die gives you some kind of resource or action type thing.
And the other thing that we liked about these guys is they were actually at a convention, actually offering a discount.
Yes.
Which both of us are like, why don't people do that anymore?
Yeah.
But they don't.
Because I think I've gone to conventions over the last 10 years, and maybe when I started there was some discounts, but ever since then everything's just either MRSP or sometimes MSRP or higher. I don't know. There's an M and a P.
They don't usually go higher, but a lot of times there's no... I'll get to this story in a minute, but anyways.
Well, anime conventions.
Well, yeah. The other thing is, too, Jeb and I are like, why do you guys want to haul all of it home?
Right.
Like, you're not even getting stuff on the last day. But I guess they figure I can sell it for full... More power to you.
But anyway, these guys had it on discount.
With the Kickstarter stuff.
When Mickey bought it, there was, a table full of them?
Yep.
We went back we saw it at the end of the day, and there might have been maybe 8 to 10 left or something like that.
It wasn't a lot, so that's why.
And then they sold out.
Did they? I don't remember walking by them again. Were they gone?
I thought they were gone.
There's a good chance that they were, and if they weren't, I don't know how many of the Kickstarter stuff. So it was funny, too. A guy walked by the table. Got to tell this story, too.
I was dying.
So they have this, and you get all the Kickstarter stuff, with the exception of some kind of upgraded, there's tracker things, or whatever you want to call it, to track certain things in these trays that we're talking to you about. And they had metal version of it, which is what we played with. And this guy comes by and he asks, are you doing any more of the deluxe version? And the guy was like, no, we're not. We don't have any of that. We don't plan on doing any of that right now. Maybe in the future. Maybe in the future, he says, blah, blah, blah. And he's telling him what's in this box, and he's showing them, the components and stuff, which honestly are really nice looking. And the guy's hung up on this, from what we could tell, it was literally just these markers being metal was the only difference between what's in this box and what this guy wanted. And he wanted nothing to do with it. The guy in the booth was like, well, we are planning on doing, when we do an expansion, offering the base set again, and there will be the deluxe. And he walked away, and I was like, you are crazy, dude, because this is retailing. And it was over at Cool Stuff Inc. for $100. They were selling it at the booth, $480 with the Kickstarter stuff. I was like, that's why at the end of the day, when it looked like they were dwindling, I was like, that's mine, because it's a solid game. It is not hard to teach. You get it after a couple rounds, and it was fun. Everybody, it's one of the better, in terms of co-op, you are really engaging with everybody else. Because it's a kind of co-op that everybody needs to pull their resources together to get the absolute best move for the whole thing. Great. You can get a best move for yourself, but if you're not paying attention, if I'm not paying attention to what Jeb has, we're going to miss an opportunity to potentially do something better, maybe over on this side of the board. Yep. So that was really a great thing about it, and again, one of the reasons, besides components and we had fun playing and blah, 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 why it made it into the bag. And just like everything else at the table here, we'll try to get you this real soon.
But this one, I think we have to have 3, right? I don't think you can do it 2.
This one? I don't know. I mean, I think it would be better like that. Say, there you go.
Oh, 1 to 6.
Yeah, Jeb likes it even more now. It's solo.
Well, I don't know. When we played the 4-player, it was really fun, and the guys we played with were pretty cool too.
Yeah, they were. We had fun. Actually, I don't think we played with any duds this weekend.
Yeah, everybody we played with was really cool. So,
pretty okay.
Some good gaming experiences.
Sometimes you can get some duds. So that's everything we purchased.
There are a few games that we can talk about if you want to.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It was one of the stories I was going to tell.
Oh, well, so one of the quick ones, I guess. I forgot the name of it. I can't remember who published it. It's some of the bigger companies or whatever. But it's this quick sit-down game where you need 4 people, and each card on the front of it
don't remember the name?
It has an A in it. And maybe
I don't even think it's an A. We had to specifically go by this booth so that he could get the name again. Do you think he writes it down or memorizes it? Nope, he's just going to tell you, look out for this game that does stuff.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Jeb.
So there's like 10, 13 cards or something. On the front of the card is a number. On the back is an ability.
We had 4 people, and we had 3 cards each. So
I think it goes from 0 to 9, and then there were like 3 stones, something like that.
Well, I was just saying that's how it ended up being for us. I don't know how to scale it, but anyways, go ahead.
But yeah, so all the cards are in a circle around the table, and you're trying to get it in numerical order. And on the back of each card is an effect, and on your turn you have to use the effect of one card in front of you, and usually it's just manipulating that card with another card on the board. So that's the gist of it.
And if that doesn't, I don't know, if what he just said doesn't make sense, just picture that you have cards jumbled up, 1 through 9, 0 through 9, and in a circle, doesn't matter, forwards, backwards, whatever, they have to be in order. Right? So like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are some blank cards. They call them stones.
Yeah.
All the cards are either black or white. So, then, like Jeb said, with the effects, you have to take turns swapping cards or whatever to try to get them in order. And that is not as easy as you think it is.
And on top of that, there's a round tracker, and you have to complete the game before you get to the end.
Yeah, there's like certain
levels of success, but yeah, we got the worst level.
We did. It's not as easy as it would seem. And if that really sounded awful to you, what makes it so unique is these effects that he's talking about. You re-sleeve the cards every time you play.
Yep.
So you get random effects. So whatever number 9 used to be, it's not going to be the same. Or if it is the same, then 2 is going to be different.
Right.
Or the black regular stone is different. Anyways,
it sounded like a fun game, and when we sat down and played it, it was.
It was. So. And another, we gamed with a couple, and they were really cool too. Like Jeb mentioned, we played with a lot of, I don't know, we don't ever get anybody's names, so we give them a shout out, but they were really...
I try to give them one of our cards, so if they find us...
Oh, is that what it is? Okay, so they did. I'll take up the next story that Jeb doesn't remember. So, at the beginning of this, we talked to you about, like, not seeing as much coming soon stuff, and playing some stuff that was already out, or what we missed on a Kickstarter, or something from last year, or whatever. However, we did stop by the one booth. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name. There's so much going on that, we're trying to take so much in that, and we do this for fun, so, I don't know, maybe one day we'll get more serious. But anyways, we walked by this one game, and this guy's got this thing about trolls, and their mountain collapsed in. And what you're trying to do... Yeah, now you're sad that you didn't remember it. I know you were.
No,
you don't get to talk now.
No. It was just, I remember there was a game that I wanted to look for in the future, but I couldn't remember what it was about.
I know which one it was.
Yeah.
Right here, in this spring. Yeah.
Now I'm going to forget about it after this.
Anyways, and you're gonna hate us for not remembering what the name of the game was. But, if you see something with what sounds like these mechanics, check it out. So anyways...
Kickstarter February.
Yeah, it's a coming Kickstarter. So anyways, the premise is, your mountain where your troll is, it caved in, the trolls got shattered, now they're trying to reclaim the mountain. I forget why the mountain caved in, it doesn't really matter. But, as you start moving your way onto the board. The board is divided up into like small squares. Those are your spaces that you move into.
It's like a grid.
So think of a giant piece of graph paper, okay? That's what you have, all right? So you're moving in, and you're placing your tunnels as you go along. So you're digging your way back into the center. Well, along the way, you can pick up things that help you if you dig in spots. You can start to clear out bigger spots, like basically making rooms where basically a Tetris type of mechanic comes into the game. And like I said, when you hit certain spots, you're claiming different things. There's statues that you need to, if you can bring them to certain parts of the cavern and basically set them up, you get more points. All kinds of stuff going on. I'm pretty sure it was Jeb that said, "Let's stop and look at this for a second." Whatever.
That makes it even funnier.
No, it doesn't, because it was one that I was getting ready to pass by. He made me stop, and when he first started talking, I was like, not seeing it. And then when he started talking about moving the statues and uncovering certain things when you dug, and then building, and then you can get like bonuses for building bigger caverns and stuff, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good, or at least I think it's gonna be good. Right. So that's I can't believe we didn't like write down the name of it, but anyways.
I gave him our card.
Yeah.
I was like, if you need people to test it or do a review.
I don't know. Maybe we'll get that big one day that people will ever actually ask us to do stuff, even though we've gotten to do a couple preview things that went very well. But anyways, if you see something that resembles what I just talked about, pay attention to it, because we both think that it's got potential to be a really good one. Sounded great to us. So that was one of the coming in ones.
There was a booth. I don't know if we talked about it or not. We haven't done a video on it, but there's a Buffy the Vampire Slayer game that I have,
and we haven't done a review on
that.
We
played it.
Really need
Mickey
to do
likes it. I like it. We wanted to get a review out, but we.
And if you're a Buffy fan, you'll like it.
Yeah.
I have a hard time equating to that. Like if nobody has any Buffy thing, if they would like the game or not, because it is thematically correct.
Yeah. And at the booth, we walked by and they were showing it and stuff. And then on the shelf behind them, we noticed the Faith. Well, it's not exclusively the Faith expansion.
It is, because Faith is on the box and she's the best Slayer.
Right. It's the expansion to the game that has Faith on it, and she's in it, so you can play as her. But they had a copy. And we were like, are you guys selling that? And he's like, actually,
no.
Only one copy exists right now, because the manufacturer, I guess, sent them some samples or something like that.
No, it was the Rush, basically.
Oh, right.
Like real version, but everything else is on the boat.
Right. So they had one copy of it.
Coming in a month.
Yeah, the guy was like, I'm going to do a video unboxing of it. And we were like, okay, whatever. I mean, like, we're not going to go hunt out a video while we're at a con. But then, I think on Sunday, I was lost. And
he's always lost.
And I walked by the booth again, and I remember that...
That's when he walked right by me, that's right.
And I remember the video of the unboxing happened, so I was like, can I actually look at the game? And the lady at the booth was like, sure. So she opened it up and showed me the stuff, and it looked pretty cool. So, I mean, it looked like the same components.
Yeah, but it added more of Sunnydale, right?
Yeah, there's a board that expands on it. You get 4 new people, and Oz is one of them. And I think
Oz is awesome!
I think he has a werewolf mechanic as well.
Yes!
And then, what's the other thing? 2 of the...
Baddies. Big bads? Okay.
Yeah. So, but then also the guy had a copy of the Angel game, which is completely separate to the Buffy game, and it plays differently, but he was telling us that you can put them together to make this huge game that's different from, like, each of them being separate. So it sounds really cool.
The way that he described it was, like, Jeb didn't do it justice. That's not picking on Jeb. No, really, like, when you listen to this guy talk about it, he was like, you've got 2 separate games, and when you put them together, he didn't even call it, like, you got a new game. He was like, it's this he basically this mashed up awesomeness or something. And
it fits 12 people.
He had me sold, and it could suck. So anyways, we're obviously looking forward to all of that, because both him and I are big Buffy fans. I never really watched Angel too much. I watched it a little bit.
Angel towards the end.
But honestly, it got really, like, it was, for spin-offs, it did excellent. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I was at a point where it was like, I don't need another television show or something. So, anyways, if you're a Buffy fan, pay attention to that.
And they also had a Cowboy Bebop game that came out, but I didn't do too much with it, and I haven't really looked into.
She sounded like you were like.
She showed me some of the stuff
talking about. You really liked.
Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't play it or anything, but
no, but I don't know. I got the impression that it piqued your interest.
She was talking about it, and it sounds like it will do justice to the show, but I haven't actually read it or seen anything, so I don't know. But it's one that I'm kind of keeping my eye out for. So. Okay,
so So when I was complaining about prices to things, here's an example. So, towards the end of the convention, we're walking around on Sunday, and was it Iello? Was it Iello? I don't remember. Anyways, we walked by, and this lady's like, "Hey, do you want to play?" It was another one of those, like, we lucked into situations. And I don't think either of us had any intentions of sitting down and playing anything on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we kind of looked at it, and it didn't look bad. And she was a really good. I guess you don't really call them salespeople it that way, but she was good at what she was doing. Mm-hmm. So she got us to sit, because we were like, okay, fine. The company's bugging me. Anyways, I'm pretty sure it was...
It wasn't Iello.
It wasn't?
No, because she didn't have a yellow shirt. And all their booths were stand-up.
Who am I thinking of then?
Unless I was at a different
Alright,
spot.
so anyways, so the game that we sit down to play is called Scorpius. And basically what you are in this is everybody has a freighter. I don't know if you're supposed to be like a Firefly type of ship or what, but you have a freighter. Your freighter is represented by, you have 4 crew members, and you have a grid in front of you that has squares on it.
AEG.
AEG, that's it. It was, and I've had good luck with AEG games, so maybe this will be okay. Anyways, we sit down, and well, I wish I could remember her name right now, because I really I really liked her.
Yeah, she's one of the best demo people.
She was one of the best demo people ever. And I'm going to explain a little bit of this experience in case you're one of these people that actually hates this type of method. So we sit down, and she is explaining stuff a mile a minute. I mean, I don't know if he's getting it. A lot of times he gets it before I do, with some of the beginning stuff. It takes me, I don't know, I guess I call him an idiot, but I think that I'm more of an idiot sometimes when it comes to learning stuff. So anyways, like I said, we have this phrase, a grid. You have 3 different boards in the middle that have a little ship that spins around, and they do different things, and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, the point of my story is, she's talking a mile a minute about how this stuff is playing.
Throwing jokes in, too.
Throwing jokes in and stuff like that, and I'm like, I have no clue what you just said. I don't know what I'm going to do on my turn. I don't know anything. I am, like, just oblivious to anything you just said. And then she says, like, something to the effect of, hang with me, play 2 turns, 2 rounds, and you'll have it. So I shut my mouth, and I sit there. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to look like the fool here because I'm not going to get this game. And long story short is, sure enough, 2 rounds, and you have exactly... I mean, you have a little fine-tuning questions through it, but for the most part, you know exactly how this game works after that. She was brilliant because she went over the stuff real fast. I think your brain kind of takes it in, and then on your turn, she kind of, for the first 2 turns, told us what to do.
Yeah, because on my first turn, she was like, push that card up, move your ship, and then here's what happens. And I was like, okay. Okay.
And that's what we did. And by like turn 3 or 4, we were doing this stuff by ourselves. Simple soup, super simple. All your crews are different. All your grids are going to be different every single time. And there's actually a lot more strategy than I think what you see on the surface. And by the end, I was actually trying to get him to buy it, as I was like, I don't want to buy anything else right now. So I think he was this close.
I was very close.
Because he went, like, we circled around a little bit more, and I was like, oh, come on, at least go ask how much it is, or something like that. So he goes up, and he asks, and it's full price, and we kept walking. So guess who just ordered it on CSI? This guy, before he could.
And you probably saved a good amount, right?
Yeah, it was like $20.
Yeah.
They wanted 60 for it, and I think it was like 37 or something, so $22 or something like that. And that's kind of our point, and I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't understand if it's because they have deals with the distributors / the retailers where they've told them that we won't try to undercut you or something. But I feel like if you're going to cut that type of a deal, you should make it like, we will never offer a deeper discount than anything that we would let you offer.
Right.
Not, don't ever, I don't know, or maybe they just don't care. I mean, she said it's only the second place that it had been out, and it was just barely starting to hit retailers. So maybe they figured people can't find it yet, and they'll pay the $60 for it. I mean, if discounts didn't exist, it would have been really, really high on my radar. It really was that good, and she was really that good of a teacher. So whatever your name is, ex-IRS worker, person, ex-cop by night, funny as hell girl, woman. Sorry, is that offensive if I call somebody a girl?
I don't care if you offend anybody.
Jeb doesn't care if we offend people. This is not a good show anymore.
I shouldn't have said that. Now Mickey's going to offend everybody.
Wow, now I'm offended. Anyways, you were super awesome.
Yeah,
you'll probably
awesome.
never see this video, but whoever you were, gosh, I can't remember your name.
I know she used to work with the IRS.
And she was a cop by night, and I forget what she was doing now, but she teaches her kids games and everything else, and she was at the AEG booth.
And were just, so you see Mickey ripping on me, imagine another person ripping on me. That's kind of what it was like.
Well,
although
she cut up on pretty on everybody too.
So
yeah,
it was pretty cool.
She was very,
she distributed it well.
Yep, and she was a great person to learn from. Yep. And I guess the point is, if you get a teacher like that sounds confident, let them do their thing, because I honestly had my doubts, and I just shut up, and the guy that we were playing with, because we played, it was me and Jeb, another player, and her that started the game, and I think we were all, I was the one that said it, me and my big mouth, but he was thinking it too, but I said to her, I said, I have to give you kudos, because I mean, I didn't say it exactly like this, but I thought you were full of crap when you were going so far, because I didn't understand a word you said, and you were right. By the second or third turn, I got it. So, good job, right?
Yep.
Go ahead.
I get to talk about it.
Yes, you do.
So, this being a board game, oh no, that's a lie. That's a lie.
It is. The only cool thing is the table.
So, we were walking around, and in the very back of the convention...
Right, in the back, in the corner, where nobody goes.
I was like, is that a Mahjong table? Sure enough, it was. And the American Mahjong Association, I can't remember the exact name, but I think they're based out of New York, and they have, like, different chapters across whatever cities. There's one in Philly as well. But anyway, they had a booth, and they were teaching people how to play Mahjong, and you can sign up or whatever. So I was like, Mickey, I own a Mahjong set, and I want you to play with me. And one of the girls at the booth was like, did I hear you say you own a Mahjong set? And I was like, yeah, I'm trying to get him to play. She's like, well, you got to go over to this other area, and they're teaching how to play, and they also have the electronic machine there, the electronic table. I was like, okay, we're going. So it took 2 days, but on the last day...
He got me there.
We got over to the Mahjong.
Only because it was sitting by Unbroken.
Yeah. So
he's like, I'm like, I can't get away.
So we're able to get a guy to teach us, and there were 2 other guys who wanted to learn as well. So Mahjong, if you don't know, you need 4 people to play. So all 4 of us sit down, and the guy teaching us, I'm kind of curious because it was maybe a couple years ago I tried learning how to play it, so I know parts of it.
This is like Japanese bridge or something like that.
Like, I kind of know how to play it, but I don't know how to teach it. And
well, bridge you play in teams, so I guess it's not.
Yeah.
They use Gin Rummy as an example.
But I don't know how to teach this game. I want to teach it to people so I can play it more. So I'm like, I kind of want to see how he teaches. And the way he taught, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, he couldn't stop talking about it. He was like, that was genius.
Yeah, I never even considered doing that. So Mickey got to learn how to play. We went through one entire game, or one round or whatever, with all the tiles, because he broke it down. Yeah. And then Mickey got to see the automatic machine.
Yeah, I did get to see really cool. And it really is cool. And I guess, if I understood correctly from what Jeb told me after we left, is I pretty much saw the whole game except for just a few nuances, which there are a lot of nuances.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've ripped on Jeb about Mahjong for like the whole time. Now, my thing is I will admit to him that it was kind of a cool game. What I have also told him to is that I was never it's a card game with tiles,
right.
And I was never a big card player. I never played spades. I never played hearts. I played a little bit of rummy with my mom when I was a kid and stuff like that. I couldn't tell you any of the rules. I've been to one guy's poker night ever, so it's just not something that I ever did. It's not that I didn't like it or whatever, because I can't say that I didn't find it a little bit intriguing. And I think I don't know if he ever even played that many card games, but I think besides the fact that it was a Japanese thing and the tiles are cool, what kind of makes the game interesting is the weird stuff they do when, like, if you think about a game of rummy and stuff, and the hands that you need and the pairs that you need, that's not good enough in Mahjong.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have what they call interesting hands. And that's, I think, where it comes into, like, what comes into, like, making it so much different. Mm-hmm. And why I can see it being such a popular draw. But I think probably its biggest drawback, I don't know if it was ever big back in the day, but I feel like you don't hear about people, like, you don't hear about like couples going over and playing bridge together anymore, and
not anymore.
And all that kind
I
of stuff, right?
Hear people
so I feel like you came 22 years too late trying to make a go of this. Right. I mean, because it's not. I mean, it's one of those things that even with as much stuff as I made fun of Jeb while we were learning it, because I won't say that I hated it. I just keep giving him the thumbs down because I never was a card player.
Yeah.
And but I can see the attraction to it. I really can. And I can see why there's an organization trying to grow awareness of it, because if you're a card player and you like any of that stuff, you should go learn.
Yeah.
You'll be like, wow, this is very interesting. Mm-hmm. And there's so many, and strategy-wise, you have to be on your game.
Yeah.
Because first of all, it can change on a dime. Like, you can be going for something and you'll be like, I gotta switch up my strategy right now, or I'm gonna, you know. And then Jeb's, the more that he, you know, told me, it's kind of a backwards in a way too. Like, you start with points, and your opponents are trying to take them away from you to eliminate you,
Yeah, you're
right?
playing like a full game. Everybody starts with points, and you try to take them.
And then he said, and then he didn't even try to go into that. He said that gets all kinds of crazy.
Yeah, I don't even know how to do all the scoring and stuff. So.
And I will reiterate what Jeb said about our teacher on that one too. Other than the fact that he was very soft-spoken, the way that he taught and the way that he explained stuff was fantastic. He was hard to hear though. You got to be kind of loud in a convention center. But other than that,
I figured really Mickey liked him because.
He did bust on Jeb.
We were playing the last game with everything,
yeah.
And he was. I do this one thing, and he looks at me. He's like, "Are you sure?" And I was like,
No. That's not even how it went. He goes over, stands behind him, looks at his hand, and goes, "Really? You're the most experienced player here. Really?" And he says, "I told you to listen to me," and walks away.
The funny part is, I actually won the hand.
He did end up winning, and it wasn't because I had the best option at the table. I really did. I was like way before he won. I was just waiting for one. Yeah, I had like 2 or 3 options, and nothing dropped.
It took me the whole time. I was like, my hand is like sucks. Like, the guy was right. I shouldn't have done it. But it slowly got better and better, and I was like, oh, we're gonna run out of time. And then somebody dropped the last tile that I needed. I was like, yes. Yeah. So I was happy about that. But
speaking of running out of time, that's one of the interesting things about the game is in order to keep, I mean, like, I don't know if, like, how you say it, but I think it would be impossible to do, like, a card count type of thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. They have this little mechanism where they take a whole block of your tiles and they're just out of the game.
Yep, they just sit there in the middle of the table.
Yeah. And so basically, if you're waiting for something, like Jeb said, running out of time because you draw kind of like from around. But that's too hard to explain. Yeah. The point is, the tiles can run out. Yep. So
once there's no more tiles to draw, if nobody's won, it's just a draw game.
Yeah. So and it's like, oh. Is it going to show up, or should I start to try to do something different? Anyways, so I'm sure Jeb is glad to hear me talking positively about the game.
Oh, I was glad just to be able to play it.
I have no worries. I told him, Jeb, I'm never playing this game with you unless you can get 2 other people.
That's so hard.
Yeah,
I don't know. See? I have no idea who
and then not only that, but then I'm not playing unless these people know how either.
Yeah.
But so then he has to teach. Yeah, he'll forget how to teach in a little bit. I'm not worried.
And then Mickey's going to add the caveat, I also want the electronic table to play on.
No, I won't make him do that. Although I will say that the technique of giant row, putting him like that, I did it better than you.
You did, because I was shaking. Anyway.
All right, let's see.
I think
you got another one? I got another one.
If you don't got another one.
What are your other one?
Is it the one that we're doing soon? Or is it one that you own?
It is one I own.
Okay, then do it.
Alright, so another one that we got to play, which I did kickstart. I told Jeb about it. He forgot about it.
I was looking for the box, but I didn't see it.
I brought it with us. It was one of the ones that was in my bag at the convention.
Oh, no, I meant I was looking for it on the... so it must still be in your box.
No, it's behind those.
Oh, okay.
So anyways...
I see it, yeah, okay.
So I had kickstarted it. I had told him about it. I think he even might have glanced at the rules. He remembers none of this. And he said, oh, that does sound kind of cool. And the name of the game is Temperal Odyssey. And it's a card game that basically has a neat mechanic. I mean, you have different characters that have like their own deck, so to speak. But the unique thing is that they have these side decks, and they're past, present, and future.
That was really cool.
Right. And so each time, at the end of your turn, you're allowed to draft cards from any time period you want. And without getting into it too much, and basically you're trying to eliminate your opponent. The way that you eliminate your opponent is similar to a Weiss-Schwarz mechanic where you're getting, what do they call it, the clock in that game or something like that. But anyways, you're taking hits, and every time you take a hit, you get a little something extra, so that it kind of tries to balance the game at some point in time. Although when you get the little extra, it's a one-time thing. Anyways, the big point of it is you're like a time traveler. It's a card game, and the time periods make it kind of neat. And it's another one that's been on our list to do. With all the other stuff, I don't know that it got bumped up anymore, but keep it on your radar if you ever get a chance to demo it. It's level 99, I think, whatever they call that company, something like that.
I think it's level 99. That sounds familiar.
They're, anyways, like I said, when I saw it on the Kickstarter, I read it and I was like, this sounds a little unique, and it actually really is a little unique in your casting spells and the different things.
Yeah, when I went into playing it, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this or not. And then I got to play with the mech deck, and there were like all kinds of giant robots and stuff in my hand, and I was like, I wonder which deck I'm going to pull from. So I pulled from the future deck,
and I got more mechs,
and I was like, whoa, this is really cool.
Yeah. One of the things that we didn't even get to see it in its most pure form is because the guy was like, for simplicity, I just put all the cards together in the past, present, and future decks, and that's not how you play. The past, present, and future are based on your characters. So what Jeb was just saying probably makes even more sense when you have exactly what's supposed to be in each deck. So I think once you learn the game a little bit, you have an idea of what your potential draws are from, like, I don't know, let's just say that, you know, what he was doing when he was picking, like, getting the mechs from the future. You know, maybe in the past there's, like, you know, basic computer or something like that represents whatever it is that he was playing. So anyways, my point being that we didn't get to see exactly the way that it works, but we saw enough of it works that we were like, this is pretty cool. It should be a quicker one, so that does help it in terms of maybe getting itself an episode, because we're always looking for stuff that it's like, oh, this isn't going to take 4 hours, let's do this.
I do think mixing them all together is pretty cool too, because then it's kind of like, I'm going to the future to check for something, and you might get something that helps you, or you might get something completely useless, like, oh, I'm going to go to the future and it's just like a lizard man army or something. It's like, that doesn't help the robots.
Yeah, but it could,
I mean,
but it could be, it could help me.
Right.
Like if we understood what he was talking about with mixing those decks too. And on top of that, when you do that draft mechanic, each time you get to manipulate those decks just a little bit.
Yes.
Because you get to take a card and you get to put one on the top and one at the bottom, and the one on top is face up.
The not one on the bottom, you remove it from play.
And you remove one from play, put one on top.
Yep. Yeah.
I was close.
Well, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, the remove from play is
huge,
like, because then he can be like, that's a Mickey card.
Yep.
See ya!
Yep. So, I think the last one, unless I'm wrong, is when we finished playing Shards of Infinity, and I was like, I need to use the restroom, so I went to walk to it. Not that this story has anything to do with it, but as I was walking by, I saw a table with two guys who had Robin Hood and His Merry Men. Is that the name of it?
This is when we were sitting off playing games. We weren't actually walking through the convention.
Two guys had it set up at a table, and it looked like they were trying to read the rules, or they were reading the rules, or whatever. So I went to use the restroom, came back. They were still looking a little confused. So I went over to them, and I was like, hey guys, me and my buddy were going to play this weekend or whatever, because I think he might have brought it. And we were like, I was like, well, you guys have it set up. Are you looking for other players? And they were like, yeah,
sure.
We don't mind, but we're still learning the rules. And I was like, that's fine, because we haven't played it before. So
and both of us are thinking, but we read the rules.
Yeah.
And you know what? We read the rules, but we didn't read the rules. Because one person really didn't read the rules, because he read the wrong set of rules. The other person had read the rules so long ago that he remembered bits and pieces of it. And I don't know if I commented about it on anything else, but there is so much going on in that game, and it proved that there is so much going on in that game. It's a beast.
It took all 4 of us, I think, maybe a couple hours, and we were like walking through it pretty slow to make sure we did everything.
Yep.
And we ended up losing really quick too. But
well,
we played some stuff wrong.
We probably shouldn't have lost that quick.
Right.
Anyways, the point is, it is definitely it was my Kickstarter. I'm a huge Robin Hood fan, so we're definitely going to try to do that one sooner than later.
Yeah.
Because if that interests you, you are going to really appreciate I don't care whose review it is. I mean, obviously I want you to watch ours, but you're, like, that'll be very beneficial because as much as we walked through it in those 2 hours, Jeb still went home, looked through the rule book again, and I bet he's already told me 4 things that we either did wrong or forgot about or just plain missed. And I don't mean missed like, oh, you could have done this. Not that we did anything wrong. It was more like, did you know you could do this?
Right.
That type of stuff. So it is...
Imagine playing a worker placement and not realizing there were some places you could put your workers.
I mean, it is just... not for the faint of heart, but what we saw was really cool. And
it's definitely, once you play it and then go back and read the rules, it makes a lot more sense. So I feel like it's one of those, you got to at least see it before you actually like try to play it seriously.
A couple other highlights from me. I sat down and got a brief glimpse of the river by Days of Wonder.
When I got lost.
When Jeb got lost on one of his journeys to the bathroom, I don't know, whatever. So, unfortunately, the guy teaching that basically got thrown into it. He didn't know too much about it. He knew a little bit. Me and the other guy that I was playing with, we were like, that doesn't feel right. We finally got out the rules. I think we figured it out enough. I'm a huge Days of Wonder fan. What I saw is what I liked. It looked like a lighter side of a worker placement that I feel like along the lines of probably a Waterdeep that you could be very approachable for other people. And actually, if you're familiar with Days of Wonder, a little more catchy looking in my opinion, because I think their games are very visually pleasing. Not that Waterdeep isn't, but it's more of a darker... dark, but more of the I mean, it's D&D, you're like supposed to be in the
shadows, off, doing missions and
that
stuff.
Type of thing. And then the other thing that we stood and watched for a little bit, real quick, we didn't get to play, was one that I've been eyeballing called Crystal Clans, which look, it's a Plaid Hat game. They have an excellent track record with me anyways, except for Starship Mechs or whatever it is. That's an awful
Samurai.
Game.
Which I saw people demoing that at the thing. I was like...
If you watch that episode, that's the one where Mickey was getting really pissed off, because that is not a 2-player game.
I wanted to go over to those people and I was like, pull out my phone and pull up the pictures of my painted stuff and be like, this is what mine looks like.
Yeah. So anyways, Plaid Hat's a very good company. I was interested in... So we hovered and watched a game that was just starting. It sounded great, it looked great, and what Jeb doesn't know is it's on its way.
As I was going to say, I think yesterday or today I was on CSI and I was looking and I saw they had like some expansion packs to it. And I was like, I wonder if Mickey knows. Well, now I know he knows. So.
I was so excited.
I bet you were.
It had some really neat stuff in it, and it's a 2-player basically. As far as I know, they didn't. The board doesn't look like it's set up that you can do 4-player, so I'm pretty sure it's only 2.
You probably have to buy it.
And there's clans coming out, and they kind of did. They a little bit use this really loosely. Kind of did a Summoner Wars type of thing, because you got cards that are sliding around here. But you're moving the cards in like an army more than you are separate cards around the board for Summoner Wars. I don't know if you've even played Summoner Wars. You would like Summoner Wars. So anyways, that super excited me. that it was actually available when I left, because I was like, I gotta play that game. I was more like, I gotta own that game, because I don't have enough games to play. So, anyways, anything else that we saw?
Well, we sat down and we actually played the Tanto Cuore volleyball game, which we got it.
Oh,
we ordered that before
did.
We went to the convention.
That was when we got booted out of the convention hall.
Yeah. It was one on our list that we were like, we wanted to see how it plays.
Yes.
And we learned how it plays.
Yes, and that will definitely get a review because of the quick play of it. It won't take long to show you guys how to play, especially after Jeb finally got it through my fat head with one of the rules that I just couldn't get. And actually, I just needed to sit down at the table and see it. And now that I see it, honestly, when I read the rules, I was like, this thing can go either way on what it does. It's neat.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this might be like a really simple, quick game that I'm like, I don't know how...
Right. And it could have been a bust, too. I mean, I was like, I'm not seeing it. And
yeah, we played through the first round, and it kind of went on back and forth like a volleyball game, and then when Mickey won the set...
Which is exactly what you wanted, yep.
And then the next round that we played, we maybe got like 2 or 3 in. And
I missed the spike at the end.
Yeah,
Jeff pulled it out because I couldn't find the spike.
Yep, I spiked the ball and won. And I was like, really? You don't have something to like counter it? Because the previous round went on for so long. But anyway.
Yeah, we had a huge volley game one.
Yeah.
It was messed up. None of that probably makes sense unless you know volleyball terms. But kudos for a small game, I thought. I was like...
It makes me want more people, like more expansion people to play.
Yeah, it's different. It's like they did a really... They actually captured the feel of hitting the ball back and forth. Yeah. So we played that. Anything else?
There's only one other thing.
That I'm not remembering? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we stood in line for a long time for it.
Okay. I do remember. Do you want me to start it since it was my thing?
All yours.
Alright, so I've been curious, and I wasn't about to dump money into it until I saw it, but I wanted to see what the Keyforge hype was. Not going to get into any gameplay and stuff like that because, you know, it's a CCG with a twist. It seemed solid to me. I think Jeb was kind of indifferent to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was another CCG.
That's what makes it more towards I'm not going to buy it on my own. It's just because I don't need to collect more stuff.
I did order it only because Jeb and I are going to help, at least the plan is, we're going to attempt to help out with a local gaming convention. And after seeing it and knowing how it works, I feel like it could be a good spot for a block of time at the convention, and I want to know how it works, and I want him to know how it works. So I took the plunge. I agree with him, unless I found a group that was going to play, because I think the game is solid, at least so far. Real quick, if you don't know anything about it, the big key is, without getting into any mechanics and stuff like that, is instead of chasing packs, you buy a fresh, unique deck every time you walk in to play with something. So, sounds like it's not expensive, but I guess it kind of depends on how many tournaments you went to. If you think about having to spend $100 on like one card in Magic, that would put you in basically 10 tournaments of Keyforge. So that's the gimmick. You buy a sealed deck and you play, which I think both of us can agree in terms of like pure being able to play a card game, assuming that they have some aspect of keeping it balanced, that's kind of a neat idea, because then you have to know how to play cards, not practice a deck or anything right out of the box.
Not to mention how many, you know how many times you've been to a tournament and somebody's like forgotten a card in their deck or something like that, and they're like, well, that ruins my tournament or something like that. With Keyforge, since the decks are sealed, it's all you do is walk in, $10, you got a deck, and you don't got to worry.
I have no idea if they're going to do other formats with cards that exist. I mean, that's like the very basics that I know about it. And I mean, actually, I didn't even think about that until you just said that.
Yeah.
Actually, the reverse could be said of that for causing a problem, because if you lose a card out of your deck,
you
can't go up and say, hey, can I borrow that card? Because it might not exist.
Makes easier for the judges.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I'm sure that there's duplicate cards. It's just how they put it into the decks and stuff like that. When that comes in, we'll try. That is not going to be way up in our priority, because I'm sure there's. I'm not sure. I am sure, because I've seen a ton of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially like Dudes in Era, Team Covenant. Yeah. They've been all over.
Well, I think they had dibs on it before it even came out.
Probably, but I mean, and that's fine. I mean, that's they're really good at that, and like I said, it's got potential. What I will say is that I'm not thrilled with Fantasy Flight's ability to keep any of their competitive scene lively, because their support, in my opinion, just sucks. I mean, I don't know why they don't, why they don't try to get the competitive scene into, like, the Magic level and the Pokemon level and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe they just don't care, because they just slap something else on Star Wars and keep going. Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons that Keyforge is so huge is it got Richard Garfield's name on it, who's the creator of Magic. That's, I mean, it's like, I know this will sell. If I have to kill it later on, it's almost like, who cares? Mm-hmm. I have so many other things that I can sell, and to an extent that's kind of true, but I really feel bad for the really solid games that they've come out with.
So and now we both enjoyed Netrunner, and
we both enjoyed Netrunner, and now that's, even though we've stopped playing because we couldn't.
But
when
it's still a good game.
It's still a great game.
They stopped the Star Wars.
And Star Wars
LCG
has stopped, and I've been trying to finish out that collection just so I have it, because I love that game so much. It was so unique. Star Wars Destiny's still going on. They kind of messed that up too, with not having enough product at the beginning of it. People got frustrated. I have no idea where it stands, but I can't just pick up and be like, yeah, I know there's a Destiny tournament down the road, because it just doesn't happen.
Right.
They don't, where is that support? I mean, if you want that to happen, you gotta throw some resources into it, in my opinion. I don't care. Even if it's
get somebody to do it.
Yeah, or even if they had. Some of the prizes and stuff were kind of cool, but once it got to the fact is that a store can have whatever they called state championship, and then they had little regionals here and there, and then it's like, well, Worlds is only going to be in Minneapolis at our headquarters. Nobody wants to go there to your headquarters except the people that are really diehards. And most of those gigantic things have really big cash prizes and stuff like that. Maybe they don't want that in their repertoire too. Maybe they don't want to, I don't know, but I don't know how you keep a CCG going without their players not having a goal.
Yeah.
There's only so far that I'm the best at this goes, and I have a little plastic trophy. Mm-hmm. Some of the reason why these other things make it is because in the back of everybody's head is I have a chance for that $25,000. Right. That's what it comes down to. It's the fun first, but then there's always that glimpse of I could win a pretty decent prize this time.
Right.
So, anyways, you got anything else?
We ate a lot of good food.
We did, and I tried the gross egg.
Yep, and he liked it.
It was not bad. And I will have to say that Kanji wasn't bad either.
Yep. And he yelled at me because I got the super spicy Philly cheesesteak sandwich instead of just a normal one.
Just be normal, Jeff. And then he complained that his mouth was on fire. And he bought it and he bit it right off the grill. So not only was the steak and cheese spicy hot, but he burned the crap out of the roof of his mouth because he didn't. We're sitting here. Here's us sitting here. Here's the grill, right here. Mickey, there's my sandwich. He watches the sandwich in less than probably a minute and a half go from here to this guy over here that says, Jeb, your sandwich is ready. Jeb takes sandwich. Jeb's mind goes, bite.
You had enough time.
Okay, whatever. Genius man over
The
here.
milk and cookies helped.
Yes, milk and cookies were awesome.
The big thing was the line this year. I think a lot of people were like to get in. There's security now, so.
Oh yeah, that was kind of a bummer. I thought you were talking about the line at Steak and Cheese.
Oh no, we got to Steak and Cheese.
We ate
with
Steak
no
and
line.
Cheese for breakfast.
Yeah. But in the actual convention center, they set up security to like check bags and go through a metal detector.
Mr. Pocket Knife.
and people were like, yeah, this is not that great of experience, because I think people waited like half an hour longer if you got there right when the con opened.
I mean, I get it. I get nowadays the security is such a big deal, but they didn't. For as many people that show up in the morning, it was pretty tough, and then people getting, and they had stuff blocked off with tables that could be moved. We saw people getting yelled at because they would just move a table, and you know, and they were getting kind of, in my opinion, a little bit snotty. Yeah, you know the table's there, but it was like people going out of the convention, and we saw them get yelled at, and I'm like, I kind of get the security guard's point of view, but I kind of get the people's point of view. It's like, why would I go way the heck down the other end of the building when I'm going the opposite way of security? They get all upset. I mean, it wasn't awful, but I mean, she had a bit of an attitude and this and that, and I'm like, oh, come on. Like, they weren't, I don't think they were purposely trying to, they didn't seem like they were just like, oh, I'm going to do this just because I can do it. They were doing it as like, because this is way more convenient. And if you're going to have a barricade, don't put a stupid table that I can just slide to the side. So there were some little things like that.
One thing I didn't think of was the people, I read it online that the people who were in tournaments, they said that they weren't able to quickly hop out and grab something, come back in for the next round.
They kept it too tight?
Yeah, I think so. So they ended up having to eat in the...
Well, that's too bad, because that was one of the things that Jeb and I thought was kind of cool. They moved all the tournaments to their own separate gigantic thing, and it looked awesome. That's too bad if they actually kept the schedule too tight. I think I mentioned it before at the beginning, too. I think we both had a different feel this year than
because last year it felt like there was a lot more, oh, these games are coming soon. But then this year it's all like, these games are like being released in like the next day
or something. Like there wasn't, unless
it wasn't early stage.
Unless it was some of that stuff that was over in the open play area, you know, that big section. Yeah. I don't know if they tried to gravitate, you know, more people to like, hey, don't get a booth, just go over here. Right. You know, I don't know what maybe they charge less or something. We've never actually been able to hit that area. Time got sucked up, but I had a great time again, and I really, even though it felt different, it felt different in a good way, because
it feels like we didn't even touch everything.
I know, like we ran out of time, but it seemed like we got to play so much, and I think we actually made it a point better this year to actually go sit down and play some stuff too, whether it was something that we brought or something that we had just bought, or you know, thanks to Jeb going over and say, hey, can we play with you? So that was good stuff. Yeah. So I mean, unless he doesn't go with me, I plan on going again next year.
Yeah, I plan on it too. And I probably feel the same way, that we won't be able to get to everything.
Probably not.
I get to eat delicious food as well. So.
Yes. Alright, so there you go. There's the PAX review. And if there was anything, like, if we went over something that you were like, oh, please do that one quicker, you can have a say on what makes it quicker, because a lot of these are almost on the same level for us.
It all just got pushed into the line, and we're like...
And there's some stuff that we want on the top, but if we get some of our, you know, fans that say, oh, that one that you showed to such and such, please play that first because Mickey's awesome, we will.
You almost slipped that by me.
Anyways, I got nothing else, Jeb.
Yeah, me neither. If you only watch these PAX review videos, then I guess we'll be seeing you in a year.
Alright, that's awesome.
Alright, see ya.
See ya.